Disney begins largest wave of layoffs, will get more than halfway to target of 7,000 staff cuts this week. So basically, 4,000 will lose their jobs at Disney this week. What are your thoughts?
Only 4,000?
You're cruel.
Here's the deal. We're going to find out very shortly where they're making these cuts. I don't think it's going to involve the theme parks all that much. Culture, you're probably more, tied into that because you know that world better than I. But I think it's really the upper management where they have to be making changes. Yeah. And if they don't make some philosophical changes, it's going to get worse. You're not laying people off because you're successful. You're laying people off because people at the top made bad choices. It's their fault. They're accountable ultimately. It was things that Iger put into place, and it's this is one of those death by 1,000 cut situations. And I believe also that there's the opposite that can be true, which is success by 1,000 little wins. And here it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's, choices like let's make our theme park all about our new sequel characters, including our new hotel, right? Like there's just, when you look at the number of bad decisions, which are reported on, here on Midnight's Edge in the morning, it's, to me, the people making those decisions are the ones that need to go or pivot dramatically from all of that into just smarter decision making. It's just sad that now people in lower positions and middle management are going to suffer for the decisions of people at the top. It's unconscionable. And look, why do they even have Disney Animation when they own Pixar? It makes no sense to me. I don't know why those two companies just don't merge. What's the point?
They are merging them.
They are merging them?
Yeah.
Okay, well then there you are. That's a good decision.
Are they?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, it just, when you look at the success of Strange World, or just how god awful that was, and it's not as if you could not have made that movie. You could make that movie. Just don't make it for $200 million. Make it super on the cheap, maybe a different animation style. Maybe you don't have Jake Gyllenhaal or, more expensive talent. Maybe you actually hire voice actors instead of celebrities. I'm so annoyed with that's a constant mistake that seems to be made. And I really feel for talented voice actors that get, brushed aside because somebody has a name. I find that incredibly annoying. Especially because I happen to know that a lot of those voice actors just end up doing the voices for the celebrities anyways. They get Soundalikes, which is bizarre. But I think it's, if they're not making a sea change in all the ways they do business and telegraphing that's a mistake, because you could have made Strange World. It should have been made for under a certain amount of money. Probably under 10 million, and it should have gone direct to Disney Plus. It's not a broad mainstream movie. It just isn't. It's not. And I don't know how many times movies and shows need to either get low ratings or movies need to lose money before they realize that a lot of the themes they're pushing on the mainstream public, these are small indie films. I recognize it because I've been around indie film for a long time. And so that's why these movies don't surprise me. What surprises me is they get funded with such vast budgets because the real audience isn't there. They just don't exist. So that's my take. I'd love to hear what everyone else in the panel.
Chris, I need to ask a question, because Strange World is god awful as it was to at the box office and to most people who were gonna try to watch it, was raved about from the film festivals. I think even Cannes was just over the moon for Strange World.
Really?
Does that show a disconnect? Just how wide or how broad the disconnect is between the film viewer and like the people that they're trying to sell to, and
100%. 100%. Look, the critics push agenda. A lot of the journalists, and this is why I feel for a lot of times the talent gets thrown in front of these inexperienced journalists that are pushing the message or an agenda, and they pander. So without even knowing it, some unsuspecting celebrity that's just like, look, I'm just trying to get work. I really don't, I don't really have a political leaning one way or the other. I feel we should just be nice to everybody. We should just be nice to everybody, and what happens is they get put in these positions and they kind of pander to the journalist that's interviewing them and end up saying stupid things. This happens. You see it when I'm like, I roll my eyes when I'm like, okay, what is the context for this? Like when James Cameron had that male toxicity comment, and it was really taken out of context. But again, he was set up. He was set up by a question. And when you looked at the full context of his statement about that, it wasn't what it was perceived. But a lot of these things get blown out of proportion. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, just to add to the broader conversation, the reason I asked that question is because this is the kind of leadership they have at Disney. Completely.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And it's the frustrating part of all of this when you step back and you look at it with the widest possible lens, right? Like a television producer would, like Mr. Chato, and you look at it and you say, why are we unsuccessful? We have these epic brands, we have these incredible IPs. Why are we unsuccessful now at entertaining people? And it's because your ideas are corrupt. It's because you're bereft of creativity. I mean, did we eliminate all the voices that were bringing you the good ideas? I mean, you could point at somebody like John Lasseter, who's going to be wildly successful for Skydance. But is it merely that simple? Of course it is. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, here's what I have to say on that. It's not unlike the Biden administration, who pander to a certain audience and actively ignore the larger audience, which is blue collar, salt of the earth, working people in this country. When you look at certain events, and you all know what I'm talking about, certain events that have occurred in recent months, and you look at how the Biden administration has treated certain types of people as opposed to others, the entertainment industry has fallen in line with that. And it's disgusting. When you look at what happened in Ohio with that train derailment and the swiftness with which that event was ignored. When I look at back in my home state of Michigan, and I look at my grandmother, I had a grandmother who lived in Flint, Michigan, and I see how that city has fallen.
Yep.
And how it's been ignored. It's working, and then how quickly other problems will be solved and addressed. You see it. And the entertainment industry seems to be falling in line with how the Biden administration treats certain people. Certain classes of people get preferential treatment and others are ignored. The problem is the ignored vastly outnumber the people getting preferential treatment.
Yeah, I think it may go a little bit beyond just the administration stuff. Here there might be like larger things than I don't know that like change in administration is going to fix everything overnight, because here you have larger corporate things all pulling in the exact same directions. We have like the same thing. You see that with like Bud Light and everything like that.
Well, I was just going to. I think, as you said, Andre, I think the solution is that corporations and government need to concentrate on making the 0.01% of America happy.
Yeah.
Or better, yeah. Well, and that's how you get this, because as you've been saying, they haven't been targeting the widest possible audience. They've been.
But not
just leaves politics out of it. What they have been doing, just looking at purely commercial, they've been trying to. They've said that they're trying to be inclusive, but in reality, they have been exclusionary. They've tried to create content for the smallest possible audience as a virtue signal, but in the process, they haven't actually included them. What they have done is they have excluded the majority.
And that's traditional Maoism.
And because of that, that's why you're getting all of these firings. This is the cost not of inclusion, but of exclusion, which is the reality of
what has been talking about leadership. Disney hated John Lasseter because he was a leader. Disney is actually a passive-aggressive company. You'll never get anybody walking up to somebody and telling them their opinion. It all happens behind backs.
Yeah. That's true. The company culture is crap now. It's been the culture has been degrading at Disney for over a decade. And it started under Iger, even before, we had a lot of this globalist ideology crap like leak into that company. But I mean, it actually really has, it's no fun to work there. I mean, my friends are telling me just how miserable they are. And a couple of them probably lose their job in the next couple of days, and it's one of those situations, where you're watching the people, the foot soldiers in entertainment taking the brunt of this when, again, Paul, it's leadership there. It's leadership. That's the problem.
And within reason, I've always had a better time with not it's my favorite situation. I'd rather work for a incredibly visionary asshole over a passive aggressive, worthless, an unvisionary person.
Well, and Lasseter was
within reason.
Paul, you can work for me. You can work for me.
Okay, I was hinting at that, Chris.
Lasseter was very lovable. People liked him. He was a tough boss, though, because he would stop you in the middle of your work and say, "This is not good enough. We're going the wrong way here. We need to fix it."
Right. And to the people who are at Disney, that was literal terrorism.
Yes.
Well, to be clear, it wasn't to everybody. It was just to certain
we know who
female employees who didn't like somebody who actually had experience telling them what.
Sure, it was a different
probably
style.
The better idea.
I told you, one of my best friends was employee 12 or something at Pixar.
Pixar, yeah.
So he had a lot of stories, and again, it was a tough, grinding place, but it created magic because of how they decided that they were going to work.
Yeah.
And Disney has no management. No. And the thing is, management isn't difficult. You have to be able to tell people what their roles are, and the people have to execute them, and then you evaluate them based on how well they do that. It's not hard. But sometimes even that is how do you call it? Not offensive. It is in your face, in your face for an awful lot of people.
Can you imagine? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine going to B school and having them tell you not to set metrics for employees?
Yeah, but that's colonialism.
No, it's not. I mean, I understand why you're saying that, but I'm just that's effective leadership. You communicate what needs to be done. You lay out establish metrics for how what is expected at the end of the road, and maybe some sign points along the way, or mile markers along the way of progress. And if everybody hits all those things, then you've had a successful relationship in this particular aspect of business, and you can either promote them on the merits of their success or demote them or fire them.
And I think people are happier ultimately
when they have
working that way. I mean, that's my experience. I in the 90s, I went down to Penske headquarters, and everybody was white shirt, black tie, no jacket, and they had ex-military personnel in the role of management, and that place just ran, and I didn't see anybody who wasn't happy.
No,
but you had to be a certain personality to work at Penske at the time. I don't know what things have changed or not.
But that's corporate culture, right?
Corporate culture.
And I would say that the culture of Disney shifted over the last decade. And
I agree with you.
Now, I mean, it's measurable almost. Like you can start to see the mean creep in Disney, the backstabbing creep in at Disney for like at given points for different brands, like the different nameplates, right? Because they control so many different studios. And if they are going about putting Disney Animation and Pixar together, which name are they going to pick? See, this is why I think that's a bad plan. I think you just need to re-elevate your brands so that they are distinct, which they're not right now. If you look at the animation style.
Oh no.
And go back to have Walt Disney Animation be your hand-drawn stuff or your mostly drawn things.
Well, that's dead.
And it's maybe, but it works.
Pixar.
Yeah, that would suck, man.
Don't give them ideas. I mean, Chris, you hinted at something at this before. But to move the topic a little bit beyond the firings, we know they're happening. We know why they're happening, and I feel really bad for thousands upon thousands of employees that had nothing to do with this, that right now have to suffer for the virtue signaling of the higher ups and certain shareholders that were pushing certain messages that the audience just weren't having. And on the note of not having, since our show last week, we have now gotten like more tracking predictions, which suggest that the audience might have had it with Marvel and the Marvel brand to the point where Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3, the movie that looked like it was going to be a sure thing for Marvel, is struggling. Right now, it's looking as though, relative to it being a budget, the budget that all Marvel movies come in at, that's like 250 to 300 million, it's going to flop. Because it looks set to open to 120 million, which is great for any other movie, but it's not great for a Marvel movie. Chris, what have you heard about this? And do you think that this is a sign of like that the audience are starting to have had it with Marvel?
Yeah, I think that. Look, here's what my thoughts are in this: is that I'm told that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is fantastic. It's the perfect ending to the Guardians characters. There are points at which you will be moved to tears, and it's a great movie, and it is the best Marvel film since Endgame. Having said that, it might be incredible, and audiences will still not show up. And this is what my thought is that the Marvel brand has been so tarnished from the last, let's see, when did Endgame come out in 2019. So the last 4 years have just numbed people to, well, most of those Marvel movies aren't that good. I'm just going to see it on Disney Plus anyways. I'm tired of the same thing. Even if it's chicken for dinner again and the best chicken you've ever had, it's chicken for dinner again. I've had chicken. I know what chicken's like. Show me something new. Wow me with something different. And even if it's really good, it's possible it could fail. Now, what does failure look like? I don't know. They're saying that they've dropped the estimates by 6%.
Yep.
That pre-sales of tickets are soft.
Yep.
I don't know. And nobody at the end, nobody knows anything. I mean, I'm speculating, but it's very possible this will be a very good movie that doesn't do well. Conversely, there are a lot of terrible movies that have made a lot of money. So
Way of Water.
Yeah, among others. I actually really enjoyed Way of Water, but
okay. Well, so but Chris,
but I can't. It's hard to debate with you. It's not a great movie. I was entertained. So right. It's okay, man. It's all good.
I think it'll have more long-term success than AntMan, for instance.
Right.
I think you're right. The initial excitement is going to be diluted, but my sense is that it'll be a good enough story to keep on going.
Man, I wish I could share your optimism. Again, I think, it's going to need a lot of word of mouth at this point, because I think as Chris suggested, people don't trust Disney anymore. And they will tie the word Disney to anything that Disney owns now. And Disney has been destroying the things that they own for far too long to retain their audience.
Up here, I have not seen a lot of advertising for it. Is it the same down there?
The advertising's everywhere, and it's still tracking at 70%.
Okay, it's a non-existent here.
Yeah, it's still tracking. It's still tracking like 70% behind Mom. The last Doctor Strange film, Multiverse of Madness, is still tracking pre-sales wise about 70%, 70% of what Mom was. So it's 30% behind.
I bought my ticket the other day, and there was only like 3 other seats bought. Now, regardless, this doesn't come out for like another 2 weeks almost.
Right.
Let's keep that in mind. But
but it's behind,
yeah, or a week from Thursday anyway.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to buy my ticket and watch it early.
I already bought my ticket. I'll be there.
I'll be watching it so I can review it. And no,
but I want to go see it. This is not.
Are they showing it early at CinemaCon at all, Chris? I know they're showing The Flash tomorrow.
That I don't know.
I would imagine they would be, but I guess not. I haven't heard nothing.
Rob Burnett is seeing The Flash.
Yeah, and like I said, that's tomorrow. But I would have thought they would be showing like Guardians too this before it comes out there.
Yeah. R&B's also, I think, already in Vegas, or at least he was in the car this morning on his way there.
Yeah, he already did a car video.
Yeah. But I don't know. If it's showing, I would love to know that if it's at CinemaCon, maybe figure out a way to crash that. But